just in the conventional sense.
What is good, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between? I'm Young Toledo.
And I'm Kolo Kai.
And welcome back to Kill the Poet Season 2. And if you're watching this, you can tell that we've made a few improvements and upgrades.
Yeah, man. At the end of last season, decided to kick it up a notch. And it took us a little bit of time, but we're back.
And we are back with a couple of poems for y'all. We got to sit down with our friend Sophia Medina, lead singer of Made of Stone, and we got to listen to her poems One More Day and Waste. So,
let's take a listen.
Let's take a listen.
Let's go.
All right, this one's called Waste. I always choose the long way. I find ways to make a mess. I dwell on the simple things. I choose the heaviness. I decide to fall and not get up. I tie up my own hands. And for what? What a waste it is to waste, to not use what you were given, to not be what you are, to dim your own light. This one's called One More Day. The love leaves me numb, disassociated and dumb. Funny how something so wholesome can leave you with no one. I carry on, drag my feet along, try to pick up my head. So heavy, I feel everything, and I feel nothing. The memories like violent hits, leaves me buried. I feel you on top of me, crushing my head and my chest. I know it's right to stray, take my own hand and walk away. But most times I wish to take yours, just for one more day.
So, Sophia, thank you so much for coming along on this journey. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess my first question would be, what's your process when it comes to writing?
Good question. There's a lot that goes into it. I'd say for the most part my process is, so I work with 4 other musicians and they are kind of like the masterminds when it comes to like writing the instrumentals because they all play and they're so talented. So they do that part. They send me what they have come up with, and then my part is to come up with the melody and the lyrics.
And that's because your band Made of Stone, like, because that's where you do a lot of your writing for, essentially, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm in a band Made of Stone, and so no biggie.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Band.
It's nothing.
Made of Stone.
Yeah. So I'd say like the writing is like 50-50 in that way. So I think writing comes a little natural to me as opposed to like playing an instrument. So yeah, I sort of listen over to the tracks a lot of times until something kind of clicks for me, like a melody first, always. And sometimes like words will come first, which is interesting. It's rare, but like maybe like a repeated phrase will like keep going in my head where I keep hearing it in this one spot of the track and I'm like, okay, I have to write that down and use it because that kind of helps me like form the rest of it. But yeah, mostly like just humming a melody, something that comes to me first is what is the first part of the process, and then I kind of fill it in with words.
So with those last 2 pieces that we just heard, is that kind of how they came about? Like, were you listening to something that your band made and like that it came out?
No, actually, not for those, but sometimes that happens.
Okay.
So those, sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes I'll be writing poems in rehearsal practice when like my bandmates are jamming something that they're writing. I'll just be like chilling for a second and I feel very moved by what they're creating, even if it's just like improv on their part. So yeah, I'll pull out my notebook and I'll just like write
On the spot.
whatever. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a song or anything. It's just what I'm feeling from what they're like putting out. So that's how those were kind of.
That's dope. So like in that kind of space.
Like very, yeah. It's an energy.
Right on. An energy, a vibe, if you would, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. So how has your writing kind of changed over time, if at all?
Oh, wow. It's definitely changed, I think. I think I'm always evolving in that way because it's so new to me still. So I would say maybe like a few years ago when I first started taking it seriously, like working with people, I found myself a lot more wordier writing and didn't really know a structure, kind of just wrote everything that I was like thinking down.
Yeah, paint on the wall.
Yeah, like I didn't really think of like, okay, maybe this is too wordy or this doesn't really fit. Like there has to be like a structure for it to flow. Not all the time, but like mostly. So I think I've gotten a lot better at like hearing like verses versus chorus versus bridge, and like knowing like the length and like what sounds better.
Is that all just like self-taught kind of? Just how like
sort of like kind of experience, like okay, like or even feedback from other people, you know,
totally.
like leaving certain words out that maybe don't really do anything for the song.
Right.
Yeah.
So who do you like listen to or like read for like inspiration?
Oh, I like that question a lot. There's so many artists that inspire me in different ways. So it's funny, like when it comes to songwriting, I honestly like read a lot of poetry. I've been really inspired by Mary Oliver. Lately, like I just like how she phrases things. I'm like a sucker for like how people phrase things, and yeah, so she's like a big one. Andrea Gibson is also a big one. And yeah, like for like musician wise, I'm drawn to so many different bands and artists, but probably specifically Daughter. The band Daughter has been like such an inspiration for me. Yeah, like just all of it, like their sound, like their energy, their vibe, like it's really like they're still a big part of like who I am, even from very young. Like they're like one of the first bands I saw live, and I think they're like the one band I've seen the most.
Oh wow!
And yeah, they just really like they're part of me.
Yeah,
that's
put a battery in your back.
Yes, like they're instrumentally like brilliant musicians, and then on top of that, like her lyrics are just so like mind-blowing to me. So yeah, I definitely pay attention to lyrics a lot and the way people phrase things.
Got it. That makes sense. So when it comes to like the poets that you read, how do you usually come upon them? Like, are you like Googling poets, or like do you like read a lot, or?
I'm not really Googling poets. I mean, that's a good idea. Like that's probably how you find
top 10 poets
of the decade.
a lot of it's recommendation, or sometimes like when I'm in a bookstore or something, I'll go to the poetry section and just kind of sift through things that call to me, and yeah, or a lot of like Instagram feeds.
I've been like I one thing that I always have like difficulty with is finding poets or just poetry to read that like I think is cool or that I like, and I've been really wanting to get into the habit of like reading poetry outside of my own, and I've noticed that Instagram is like kind of like a really great place to
it is
like, find.
It's a great platform for that. There's like a lot of different kinds of.
Yeah, no, seriously, if you like know where to look, or you get the right recommendation of like who to follow, like let me think of people off the top of Matthew Cuban. He's a great guy to follow. Yeah, let me see who else I can. I'll think Hood Prophet. It's another one. But as I think, I don't know. But yeah, no, I agree with you. That's pretty dope. Yeah. Let's see.
So I wanted to ask, like, I mean, you've had different situations writing in different ways. Do you ever like think of new or interesting things depending on where you're at? Like does location like matter where you write? Like, do you switch it up?
I think location is like very important because a lot of times I feel very stagnant. Or if I'm experiencing like writer's block, like I think location has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Just like seeing the same thing over and over, and like you can get inspiration from so many different things. And I think like scenery or different views or just being in a different spot is like a big thing. So yeah, I definitely seek that if I'm experiencing like writer's block or
I guess to that point, I know you have a songbook, right, where you write things in. And I know, like, for me, when I'm writing, I usually write in my notes app. But I have noticed, like, when I'm writing in a Word document, you know, like,
or like penning it down,
like I might come up with different things just because it's a different format of like going about it, you know.
As well,
no. Location too, but like also at the same time.
That's a good point, because I do the same thing. Like I don't just write in my notepad. I definitely use my notes on my phone. They're just like filled with like random phrases.
Exactly. Or like voice memos.
Voice memos for sure.
Huge.
Yeah. Because I need to hear it in the moment.
I know. I have this mentor who he writes poetry too, and he said that he was like, try writing a poem when the cursor is aligned to the right on like Microsoft Word. No, right? Exactly. Because it's just like you're so used to typing left to right. It's like try typing right to left and see what happens. So then like what will happen is like I'll be typing out and like visually I end up trying to rhyme things with the first word instead of like the end. Because like, you know, when you're writing, because when you're writing left to right, you know, you have like the end rhyme, but like exactly. Yeah. So it's just like, you know, it forces you to think in a different way, you know? Yeah. So yeah, no, the brain is super weird. Yeah, totally. I guess, last question. No, that's okay. I don't know. That's kind of a heavy question. I don't want to, but
whatever you want.
What scares you most in life?
Oof.
Yo.
Wow, that's like the most loaded question.
Yeah, because it's just like I don't know. I feel like, especially when it comes to writing or artistic expression in any sort of form, it's like, you know, sometimes like we draw upon like those fears. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Damn.
And, I mean, and you don't have to go in all the way, you know, if you don't feel comfortable, obviously, but you know.
Yeah.
But,
okay, I'll just do what I can, I think.
Right.
So I think I'm scared of a lot of things. I feel like I'm like always scared, but it's kind of cool. Like for me, as someone who's very reserved and shy, quiet, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like I shock myself with where I've come with like music. Even if it's just like a small like accomplishment, it's like huge to me. And like being young and wanting to like pursue this and like always thinking like, oh, I will never do that. I will never sing in front of anyone. Like I'm way too scared. Like that'll never happen. Dream over. Dream dead. Yeah. I think
It's big.
just that mindset alone, like it just shows like how far you can take it even if you're scared. So I think like a big growth for me is being scared and doing it anyway. And like that's what I've learned. Just like doing it anyway, you know,
Dive
like
in.
just dive in. And like even when it's hard and you can't even imagine doing something scarier than that, scarier, like you just keep pushing. Because so I think I'm still scared of that. Like that's the point I'm trying to make. I'm still
You flip
terrified
that in such
of
a
it.
great way. Like,
No, exactly. You're scared, but you still do
Just
it.
fucking do it. Yeah, like
I mean, like, I'm trying to swear less because my mom told me that she listened to the first season, and now, she was like, it was so funny. She was like, you know, I love the podcast. It's great, but you need to cut back on the swearing, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I forgot what I was even talking about, like, immediately after that conversation. And she was like, no one cares about that shit. She said, like, right after she told me to cut back this. So what I took away from that is that I can only say the word shit. So I'm only going to say the word shit. So we're shout out to moms. But Sophia, thank you so much.
thank you guys. This was great.
Yeah, no, this was super fire. Like I'm so happy you came through. Like your poems were great, you know, and like I at some point would love to have like a live performance of. I don't know how our neighbors would feel about it.
I know it might have to be like acoustic or something. But I'm so game.
They'd love it.
Yeah,
That's how they feel. They'd pull up.
You're welcome. Like they just got a free concert. Like, yeah, no, for sure. All right, and
Wait, where can people find you?
yeah, and if you have anything to plug too, like.
Okay. Well, Made of Stone is our band name, and we're on basically every platform: Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music.
Sweet.
Yeah, just Made of Stone Band is where you can Instagram.
Very nice, very nice. Dope. Turn up.